it's Megan, and welcome to the Wool and Cottonwoods episode 5 podcast. This is my Hey Mom podcast, and I am here to share with you what I've been working on, what I've been getting up to, and I'm excited to get into it today. I'm podcasting a little bit later than I have in the past. It's about 5:15 here in southern Alberta, and as you can tell, it's beautiful out. But I usually record in my office, which is in my basement, and it's got a big window, but if there's no light, then there's no light. So I'm bringing you out to my backyard, and I'm hoping my neighbors can't hear me too much, and I hope there isn't too much background noise. Turn the air conditioner off, so hopefully we should be good. It's been a while. I am going to fill you in a little bit more in between my whips and my FOs about what I've been up to lately, but June was a really, really busy month in a lot of really good ways, and so I just haven't been able to be here. So I know I said I'd try once a week. That's not going to happen. I love you guys, but that's not going to happen. So I'm just going to come to you when I come to you, and we're just going to take it one day at a time. And I hope, well, that's got to work for you. You don't really have much choice. So, hi, welcome back. And let's get straight into the knitting. I'm going to play up with the order a little bit today. We are going to go ahead and talk about whips first. And then I'm going to fill you in on my life with a little bit of video. And then I'm going to follow that up with my FOs. And then I'm going to wrap up maybe with a little bit of acquisitions. But I don't know. We'll see how long this gets. So first and foremost, let's crack into the whips for episode 5. And there's only one whip crossover from last time. So we're going to start with that one. So this is my Inclinations cowl by Andrea Mowry, and it is that incredibly bright and textured and squishy, and oh, I love it. So this is, like I said, the Inclinations cowl by Andrea Mowry, and she calls for a sport weight yarn. Both of my yarns are technically classified as sport weight, but are on the verge of being DK weight. So I think this is going to be a little bit of a heavier weight item, which I'm really enjoying. I do have the shifty cowl, whatever the name of it is. The first one that she did that was the bandana cowl style, and I enjoy it, but it is really quite lightweight. So I'm excited to have this as an item that I can wear a little bit more often, because really I don't wear that shifty cowl very often. So as you can see, I've just finished the first section, so now I'm only increasing on one side, and you just keep doing that until you start decreasing, and it's a lovely pattern. It's in half fisherman's rib, so one side looks like this, but then the other side, which is technically the wrong side, is just a little bit different, but it creates a really lovely squish, very similar to brioche. I still don't know what the difference between fisherman's rib and brioche are, but I kind of use them interchangeably, but I really do enjoy this pattern. I have been using this pattern just as okay, we're going to be driving somewhere. I can sort of focus on my knitting, but not too much. So this last weekend, and I'll fill you in more on this, but this last weekend we went to Kananaskis, which is about a 4-hour drive from where we are. And so depending on the roads you take. And so I had a bit of knitting time ahead of me. And so I took this because half fisherman's rib or brioche, we're going to talk about them interchangeably for a second, but you end up working every row twice because you have to work, you work a double pass, right? So you do it in one color and then you do it in the next color, and it keeps going back and forth that way. So that's what creates this really beautiful squishy fabric, but at the same time it takes quite a bit of time. So I have been enjoying this as a driving project. It's just 2 skeins of yarn right now, so it's very compact, it's very easy to take around with me, and I'm enjoying it for that. And I'm also enjoying it for the colors, and I'm just gonna give you another little look at the colors. So as you can see, it creates a stripe, and of course I'm not using color changing yarns, But the 2 yarns that I do have for this pattern are both from the dyer Lily and Pine, and she's based out of Calgary. She's delightful. Her name is Erin, and I love the yarns that she creates, and I love the bases that she dyes on, which that makes a big difference, right? If the base is just not much fun, like I'm not a big fan of a 75-25 merino nylon. Some people are. Hey, whatever floats your boat. Not my cup of tea. I like things that have a lot of squish, even in my fingering weight yarns. Like, give me squish. Just, yeah. Anyways, love her bases. And these 2 bases are really fun. This one right here is her Elm Sport, and it is a really beautiful 100% BFL. And I love using this. I've used it for hats. I've used it for mittens. I love this base so much, and I wish more dyers would use it. I love Lily and Pine, but it's all, you'll see, it's very like, there's always neons involved in some way. But I wish some of the moodier dyers were using this base, or at least using it more commonly so I could find it. But I love it so much. And so this is the colorway Pink Champagne, and it's just lovely. And then this one, whew. This guy is her Rambouillet Sport. And so this is actually a farm yarn that she had milled in Rosebud, Alberta. And so she had the yarn milled, and then she went ahead and dyed it with her signature neon colors. And so this is the colorway Lipstick. And like I'm outside right now, so these colors are true as they come. So just like gorgeous neon blips, lovely speckles, but like neon. I'll just hold that up for you again, let it focus in. So you can see there's a little variation in color, there's a little bit of veg matter, but all in all, it's just glorious. So I'm loving combining these 2 together. I'm totally gonna run out of this. I think I'm gonna get a skein of the Elm Sport in Lipstick, just for whatever other rows I need. I was thinking like, oh, I could just do 1 color, but I think I'll do the Elm Sport and then go from there. So this is my Inclinations Cowl by Andrea Mowry. Because it's not a sport weight, like it is a sport weight, but it's not really quite a sport weight, I am using the next needle size up. So the pattern calls for a 2.75 millimeter, and I'm using a 3.25 millimeter. So I'm really liking the fabric that it's making. I think any more and it would have been a little bit too stiff. But I'm happy to ad lib on patterns like that. And I'm excited to see this continue to get made up over the summer. And then I do have plans to make an Oslo hat out of just Pink Champagne, and then probably a pair of mittens or convertible mitts as well. I really love the Andrea Mowry tinsel mitts pattern. I've made it for a lot of people, including myself. I have a few pairs, and so I think I might end up doing that to make a little matchy set. Would be fun. So that's my Inclinations cowl, and I'm sure you're gonna see it again in a whips segment again, because it's so much fun, and I am kind of keeping it aside. I'm not really working on it at home. It's kind of our out and about, like traveling, which of course in summer we always end up doing a lot of traveling. So yeah, Inclinations cowl by Andrea Mowry. On to my next work in progress. Let's go to the smaller works in progress. So the first one is a sock, and I had a little bit of yarn barf earlier today, so don't mind that. Just kind of working through it. But this is a DRK Everyday sock, which is the fingering weight version of her Bear Paw sock. And so it kind of looks a little ridiculous, kind of looks a little suggestive, might I say, in its current shape. It always makes me giggle, but it's a ribbed sock, so there's a lot of stretch in there, and they end up fitting like a dream. I have knit these ones before, but it was in a yarn base. There's a dog barking, hopefully you can't hear it. It was in a yarn base that had tencel, and it didn't really have a lot of grip. And so I just think that the ribbing didn't work out super well, but I'm enjoying this way more. I haven't knit the everyday socks since, but I have knit several pairs of the Bear Paw socks. So it pretty, like, I understand Andrea Mowry calls it like her memory go-to. That's her DRK everyday sock. So it's very intuitive. Once you kind of get the hang of it, once you get the hang of this legal heel, etc., it's very easy. I just kind of end up needing to look back at the instructions every once in a while. Hey, how much do I need to increase, etc. And so I'm having lots of fun with this. The yarn I am using is the Regia 4-ply that has fallen. And I got this from my local yarn store called Knitting Time. It's not a spectacular yarn store in the way that it's revolutionary, but they, you know what, they've got the stuff that they sell, and this is the kind of stuff that they've got, and hey, no harm against that. So yeah, this is the Regia 4-ply. This is the colorway. I'm really enjoying seeing how it works up. It's very fun, and the Regia 4-ply is, it is a 75-25, but it's not a 75 merino. It's more of a, like, it's just a workhorse yarn. And so I know that these wear really well. I've heard really good things from like the Crazy Sock Lady and whatnot. And so I'm just letting it work up. And I'll end up wearing these, and they're super cozy. Even just trying them on, I'm really liking the way they feel. So these are going to be for me, and I'm very happy with that. So yes, DRK everyday, 2.25 millimeter needles, size ladies medium. It's their 60 stitch, or her 60 stitch sock. So yeah, really enjoying that. And I'm going to keep trucking away on that. I keep it in my purse. That's something I really do like about using the Regia 4-ply is you go from the center of the ball. And so it's really easy, you know, like I just find it's less messy than having an indie dyed yarn with me. But you know, that'll be fine. My next work in progress is something that I just started a few days ago, actually. I don't even have it in my knitting journal, and I almost forgot about it. But I am working on what is called a Guernsey wrap. This is the right side. This is a pattern by Jared Flood from Brooklyn Tweed, and it's published, oh sorry, hopefully that didn't shake too much. It is published for Brooklyn Tweed, and I really, really enjoy this pattern. So it, you can see online, but just uses a lot of different textures, just moving through different textures that just use knit stitches and purl stitches. And I'm making this for Jeffrey. So I'm making this using Rerum Natura Gilead. Let me find one that has a ball band. Here we go. Rerum Natura Gilead. And it is just a beautiful, beautiful wool. I really like the price point of it. I get this from Art of Yarn for $22 for 100 grams. And it is more of a woolen spun yarn. And so you get quite a bit of meterage. So it's 100 grams, but it's 250 meters, worsted weight. Worsted to Aran, really, and it just knits up like a dream. I have some sweater plans for it. I haven't knit any sweaters in it yet, but I do have a few sweater quantities at this point. So I'm excited to see how it knits up eventually. But I'm just really loving working with their yarn. It's got multiple plies, probably 3 or 4. I'm gonna say 4. Nope, 3. So it's a 3-ply yarn. And I'm enjoying using it. I had other plans for it. Didn't work. Or like, I just lost interest. But Jeffrey looks really, really good in a green color. And this is just, it's their color Forêt, which is just a glorious forest green. Exactly what it says, right? It's exactly what it's claiming to be. So I'm loving how it's working up. I'm kind of aiming on a section or so a day. Each section's like maybe 16 rows, not even. And it's I'm knitting the worsted weight version because of course it's worsted weight yarn, and so it's like maybe 50 stitches across. So yeah, it's just a classic men's scarf, and I'm excited for Jeffrey to be able to wear it. There's no deadline, no really agenda for this. It's not for Christmas. I'm gonna make him a sweater for Christmas. Fingers crossed. But yeah, just something else basic to work on, just kind of to chip away on. I'm, you know, thinking like 30 minutes while I'm reading, especially because it's just knits and purls and it's very repetitive. It's easy to plunk away on this just while I'm reading or on my Kobo, what have you. So this is once again, the Guernsey wrap by Jared Flood, using the Rerum Natura Gilead in the colorway 4A. And the needle size that I'm using is a 5mm. So it's working up really, really nicely. And we'll just go from there. Very beginning. I think I cast this on 2 days ago. So, and I didn't work on it yesterday. I love summertime evenings because sometimes they fill up with watering and picking the strawberries and being outside. And I've just been totally soaking it up. So yeah. Last but not least for my whips is one that I didn't have it casted on last time, but I talked about it last time. And it is the Smookie, which is by Kate Davies Designs. And just gotta get myself kind of untangled here to show you. This is where I am at so far. Oh, that texture looks so good out here. So this is the Smookie by Kate Davies Designs, and it is stunning, and I am loving working on it. It's far more intuitive than I thought it would be. I thought I would be like going back and looking at the pattern every single time, looking at the chart every single time. No, it kind of falls together, and because it's so geometric, it's quite easy to memorize. I'm looking back at it every like maybe 3 to 4, well, 6 to 8 rounds, just to double check where I am in the pattern motif. But like this motif, once you get it, you got it. And it is just working up really, really beautifully. I'm using Hedgehog Fibers Tweedy, and I'll talk more about that in a second, but I want to finish talking about the pattern first. It doesn't have a wide variety of sizes, but it does have a broad size range. So I think it goes from finished object of 50 inches to a finished object of like 72 inches. I'm making the size 1 for myself. It should end up having like 12 to maybe 18 inches of positive ease. And all of that is just made different in the side panels here. So if you end up adjusting the side panels, I'm sure if you want an in-between size, you can figure that out. You're all smart humans. And the 2 center panels, well, the side panels here and the center panel, it's all just using twisted stitches. So I actually ended up buying the entire Kate Davies design called Sark collection. It's a collection of a variety of different patterns, and all of these patterns are using twisted stitches to create what ends up looking like cables, and I love the effect of it. It's absolutely stunning, and it has been so much fun. So we've got that here, and I've gotten a decent amount done considering it's a big sweater, and I've just kind of been plunking away on this every once in a while as my evening goes on, or in the afternoon, what have you. But it's proven pretty easy to pick up and put down and pick up and put down. So that's kind of what I wanted out of this, just a good summer project, which is so funny because it is not a summer yarn. So onto the yarn I am using. It is, like I said, Hedgehog Fibers Tweedy, which has 50% Falkland Merino. No, 75% Falkland Merino, And then there's some recycled content. And then there are all of these wonderful little flecks. And I'm actually alternating skeins. You typically wouldn't need to do this, but in my 2 skeins, or I had this yarn, and you can see which is the new yarn and which is the used yarn. So I had knitted a Cozy Classic Raglan by Jessie Made Designs in this, and I spoke on it last episode. I never ended up wearing it. It ended up being super itchy. So I just ended up completely frogging it. It just wasn't singing to me. So I had a grumpy day in June, and I ripped it all out and got on a quest of what I was going to use the yarn for. And so I did a big Ravel research, and I really sat on it, and I wanted to find something that made me excited. So I landed on this one, and I ended up having not quite enough yarn. And so I did end up buying 2 more skeins. I had a skein at home, or maybe it was 2 skeins. I think it was just 1. But the base of the yarn, like, because it comes from recycled yarn, it is a gray base, but you can see that there's colors running throughout it that aren't just the flecks. And this one has a bit of a pink undertone, and the other one that I had more of a blue undertone. And so it was really going to clash. And so I said, to heck with it. I'll just buy 2 more skeins because that's what I needed. And hopefully they're more of a warmer undertone on the gray. And so I went ahead and I did that and ended up with something pretty close. You can't see the difference if you look closely, but nobody's going to be looking closely. And so I just alternate skeins, and I don't helical knit because I didn't want to deal with that when it got to the twisted stitches. But yeah, you can see the difference between the unknitted and the already knitted yarn, even though I blocked out the already knitted yarn. But it is working up quite nicely, and I think once it's all blocked, what they say, it all comes out in the wash. It's all gonna come out in the wash. So this is my Smookie, and I would strongly recommend the pattern. I would strongly recommend the yarn. This is not going to be the last you're gonna hear of this because it is a large sweater, and that's okay. I'm happy with the long-term project right now. I am using the 4mm needles, US size 6, which is what the pattern calls for. I think. I did do a gauge swatch, but I'm pretty sure that's what the pattern called for. So yeah, I'm just enjoying it. I did the tubular bind on, cast on, and I'm really happy with the result. I think it's very, very neat. I've done a lot of work to get my tubular cast on to be really, really neat, and I think I'm finally there. But yeah, it's been super fun, and I'm just enjoying it. It is bringing me so much joy. One of my favorite things about those 2 skeins that I did end up getting on the side was that it has these flecks of a neon coral. I love the addition of the neon coral. Like, love me a neon green, pink, yellow, purple, orange, whatever. But those neon coral bits, and they stay in, like, and you can see them. You can notice them. They're there. And I'm just, I'm loving it. So I will share more of this at another time, but I'm very excited. So those are all my whips in progress, and I'm going to talk a little bit about life. So life. June was a month. It was a journey, and that's okay. I started June, and my last podcast was from the beginning of June, but I started June and it was tough. And I was really confronting my grief, and I was really confronting my loss, and how it was manifesting in my life. And I was coming to a point where I felt like a bump on a log. Something needed to change. And so thankfully I did have a counseling appointment already booked, and I had a really, really wonderful appointment with my counselor. And we talked about healing and loss and grief and not moving on, but still living my life. and what to do with my time away from work. And so we did. We worked through that. It was probably the end of the second week of June, and we created a routine, and that routine has just been fabulous. And to the point where I was actually feeling really, really good. And I talked to my counselor about it, talked to my doctor about it, talked to my admin about it, and I did go back to work for the last week. So, which was really lovely. I got 2.5 days with my students, and then another day and a half of work after that. So today is July 5th, and I was able to work from last Monday up until last Thursday. And I really got closure for that school year. You know, it was a really hard school year, and the students knew. They didn't know that my mom passed away, but they knew I was having a hard time. And I know that a lot of them were concerned. So I wanted to see them. I wanted to say, have a good summer. I wanted to say good luck to my grade 5s. And I got to do that. And it was really, really lovely. And it was a lot. It's very busy. I was exhausted, but I'm really glad I did it. So yeah, that's kind of been my June, and it's been nice because I did do that work on routine, that I feel very much that I'm picking up my summer and I'm continuing on with that routine. And I think I'm going to get a lot out of this summer. It's going to be a busy summer. It's going to be an emotional summer. We're doing a celebration of life for Mom here later in the summer in August. But I think it's going to be really, really good, and good for my heart and good for my soul. And I'm getting up and I'm giving myself permission, but then I'm also getting things done when I need to. And I'm getting time in the garden, and I'm exercising, and I'm knitting, and I'm reading, and I'm soaking up all of the good things, which is really spectacular. So that was kind of my thoughts on June. Jeffrey and I have been having a lovely time. I've been feeling really good about cooking again, which it's been a long time that I felt good about cooking. I love cooking. I love baking. I love all of that stuff, but it's been a long time. And, you know, I've been feeling good. I've started to feel like myself again. I'm still quite irritable at a lot of times, but it gives me hope. And I know it's what Mom would have wanted. So that feels good. Yeah. Jeffrey and I were camping and hiking last weekend. We went to Kananaskis, and I'll include a little bit of video just of the trail we did. It was real hard. The first 2 kilometers of the hike was like 650 meters of elevation. So it felt like we were going like this. And I'm pretty sure at times we were. It was pretty... like footing wise, it was okay for most of it. There were a few sections where there was some scree that got a little bit sketchy, but you did this like massive elevation, and then you were magically on top of the mountain, and it was a ridge walk that kind of had elevation along the way, but it was absolutely stunning, and I was so happy that we did it. It was really hard, but really worth it. We camped the night before at a lovely little campsite with 2 of our friends, Jeffrey's friends from university. And then, we hiked the next day with them, went back to their house in Calgary, spent the night in Calgary. And like, if you've ever done an intense hike, it was only 7 kilometers round trip, but it ended up being, it took us 5 hours, and we're all relatively fit people. So if you've ever done a hike like that, you know, all you want to do for the rest of the evening is eat carbs and relax. And so that's what we did. We watched a movie, had some veggie burgers. It was really good. So yeah, that's what we did this weekend. Jeffrey's doing a triathlon this upcoming weekend in Fort McLeod. It's just a little itty bitty triathlon, but he's doing a half Ironman in Salem, Oregon later in the month. In July, we're going down in about 2 weeks. And so he's really excited to just practice his transitions and everything like that. He's been training really hard for this. So we're going to do that this weekend. We got a bike rack for my Forester to be able to transport his triathlon bike. And then later this summer, we're also camping in BC, and so we want to take our recreational bikes. So just things are shaping up. Things are expensive, but things are shaping up, and it's all good. Let me check. Yeah, I think that was it. I've been gardening lots. Look at my garden. She's been doing real good. My vegetable garden over here is fabulous. Tried to get a shot with my flowers in the background there, just up behind you, but that didn't work out very well. So sorry about that. But I am going to be right back, and then we'll talk about finished objects, and then I think we're going to wrap it up. Let's keep it nice and short today. So I'll be right back, and I'll see you in a moment. Hi. So I have 3 finished objects, and you've seen how many whips I have. So the finished objects I think will help make sense. Also, you know that I went back to school, so that was busy. And so there just hasn't been as much knitting time, which is okay, because there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. And so, yeah, here are my whips. They're, I've got my finished objects. I've got 3. They're lovely and kind of small and sweet. So finished object number 1. These are my cherry blossom socks. The actual colorway, oh, what was it? I don't remember. Antique by Ancient Arts Fibers in Socknado. Base and the toe and the cuff are from Rose Hill Yarns. Just a solid. And so yeah, these are just little shorties. I do have 2 of them. I don't have the second one. I'm really happy with how these turned out. I'm really happy with how these fit. If you want to see details on these, watch one of my other episodes. But yeah, I finished 2 socks, so I have a pair, and they kind of just, they're set aside for cold mornings or days when it actually gets cold outside. So they'll probably be there until September, except for cold mornings. Very happy with how these turned out. And then my second finished object is a pair of socks for Jeffrey. So I jumped on the Regia Perfect bandwagon. Thank you to the Crazy Sock Lady, and I had lots of fun with it. These were really fun to knit. So you start with the cuff, and if you are using Regia Perfect yarn, you need, they have guide yarn. You need to start on the inside of the ball. I didn't do that, and my cuff was like yay long, and I was like, I've done something wrong. Yes, I had. So I actually just ended up setting that cuff aside and started a new one from the inside of the ball, and then picked up the yarn. It all worked out. They're a matching pair, I swear. And I had a lot of fun with this. And so it's all one strand of yarn. The yarn does all of the work. You don't need to think about it. You end up with a gigantic toe. Jeffrey's a men's size 11, but whatever. That's inside his shoes anyways. He loves these. I enjoy making shorties because they go really fast. But these are not shorties, and they did not go crazy fast. But it is nice because you're just in the round and just stockinette, and you just go. And I think he really enjoys this height of socks. So I'm going to keep this in mind. I'm going to go ahead and count the rows and see what it ends up being. But I think he's really going to get a lot of wear out of these. And he's like, no, I don't want to wear them to work. I don't want to wear them out. Like, honey, if you wear them out, I'll just knit you another pair of socks. And like, I'd rather you wear them out than never wear them. So yeah, that is Regia Perfect socks for Jeffrey. He's pretty happy with them. I'm pretty happy with them. Done and dusted. My last finished object is my salty air tea. This is by Samantha Guerin. Sorry, it's hard to say French things with an English accent, or with like an English, sorry, there's a plane. Hopefully you can't hear it. We don't usually have planes in Lethbridge, but it's like a novelty plane. Long story short, back to my finished object. Salty air tea, Samantha Guerin. I'm so sorry. And it's beautiful. It's so good. I'll stand up so you can take a look. I love it. I love the cast on. I love the lace. I love the fit. It all worked out really well. I knit this on 3.5 millimeter needles in the Crux fiber. It is a alpaca, linen, and Tessa silk base, and it's a fingering weight, 400 meters, yards, whatever, per 100 grams. It's gorgeous. I love it. And I love how much it opened up the lace, just the weight of the linen and the alpaca. It just, like, I didn't even need to stretch the lace out, because of course it doesn't have a ton of elasticity because there's no wool, but it sits so freaking beautifully. I've already worn this many, many times. You can see it wrinkles a little bit, but who cares? I've worn it many times over top. Right now I'm just wearing it with leggings. I've worn it over top of skirts. I've worn it over top of like jumpsuits. It looks adorable with everything, and just the fit has been really, really nice. There are short rows. I think I added an extra set of short rows. I usually do. And the cast on was I did a reverse cable cast on. It's like a faux tubular cast on. I really, really like it for necklines because it has a little bit more structure than the tubular cast on does. And aside from that, I followed it to pattern for the length, for the sleeves. Bind off, I did Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. Everything. It's just been lovely. It's a beautiful pattern. I would absolutely make another one. Very, very happy. 10 out of 10. If you need a beautiful summer tee pattern, I would 100% recommend this one. And I think that is it. That was a very, maybe I'm feeling the pressure. I think that neighbor wants to come outside. I think that neighbor is outside. I heard their dog. We'll see. Feeling the pressure, wanting to get inside, get out of people's way, even though it's on my own backyard. So thank you so much for being here. This has been my Hey Mom podcast. Thanks for being here as I share my knits with you and with my mom and with the universe. And I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful weekend ahead. Please treat each other well. Treat yourselves well. And have a lovely day. We'll see you next time. Bye.